Welcome to Whispers to a Bride, where we talk about the stuff no one else is talking about. We are going deep on the emotional aspects of getting married, the stress, drama, and turbulence that affects your own sense of identity and your closest relationships. We are talking about what it means to be a bride and how to navigate this sacred time with more grace and ease. I'm your host, Kara Gassabay. As a life coach and therapist, I'm going to be sharing super practical tips so that you can not only rise to the occasion of your wedding, but also your life. Hello, and welcome back. Today we are talking about the goodbye. I have so many women who come to me with this feeling of settledness and a little bit of grief and anxiety about just saying goodbye to their old lives, really. Some people are super psyched and ready to just start this new chapter, change their name, like move full force ahead. But other people really are having a hard time with the transition. They're having a little bit of a struggle with the idea of just leaving behind their old life, especially if they've really grown to love the little routines that they've created for themselves, the friendships, the patterns and the habits and their living space, just so many things that if you put a lot of work in and intention into creating this life for yourself, by yourself, for yourself, it can be really hard to let it go, right? You're moving out of your comfort zone into this whole new chapter. And as excited as you are to move to this new chapter, it can still be really hard to say goodbye to your old life. And so one of the first things I like to do when someone is conveying this feeling is to normalize it. It's completely normal. Every transition, no matter how exciting, there's some nostalgia for leaving behind the life we had before. So it's just totally normal to feel this way. And it doesn't mean anything is wrong with you or your fiance or you shouldn't be getting married, all of that stuff. This is one of those things that some people want to turn into, is this a red flag? And it's not. Missing your old life is normal. So that's the first thing I want to say. But after that, I think it's super important to get really clear in your own mind. What are the things that you are sad or worried or nervous about leaving behind? And I think this is where I know it's so annoying when so many people in like the coachy therapy space are like, write it down, journal. But I'm telling you, writing it down is the best way to clarity. So again, it doesn't have to be some huge, beautiful prose. It can just be a list. Like, what is the part that keeps nagging in the back of my mind that like gives me that icky feeling or that sad feeling? What part do I feel like I'm going to have to leave behind? Is it just the sense of like being very independent and just not having to consult with someone else about how I spend my money or plan my travel or that kind of thing? Write it down. Is it just the idea that like having a quiet morning by yourself, you're feeling like this, living together and sharing the whole life and sharing every moment, like that part makes you a little tense, just losing that alone time that you crave and you cherish? Is it the weekly nights out with your girlfriends? Is it just the walks with your dog? Or just there's so many little things and very big things. There's specific things and there's very vague things. And I think that's what you want to write down everything you could possibly write down. Get it on paper, and then you're going to see through totally different eyes, like, oh, I can actually take this with me. I don't need to like say, right? Getting married isn't like necessarily saying goodbye to everything about your old life. Yes, it's a change, but some things can come with us. Some things cannot. I think that's the important thing is I think our brain, when this big change is coming, sometimes your brain gets a little black and white, gets a little rigid, and it's to make you feel like it's all going to change. It's all going to be so different. And then there's that wiser part of yourself. After you're looking at your list, you're like, okay, I can keep some of these things. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. And so I think losing the vagueness is the biggest step in sort of helping to ease some of that fear and anxiety. And then you're going to really look and see, what is it that you need to grieve, right? There can be just some grief that needs to happen because this is a big chapter in your life, right? The idea that like now your next of kin isn't your parents, it's your partner, and just some of those ideas and those things. Yeah, it is really sad in a way. A chapter is definitely closing. And the only way to move through that is to let that emotion come up and let it come out. So that's when we're going to like, if you want to let yourself cry, cry. That's when you just want to really get in touch with those feelings and experience them, and don't try to avoid them. Like, move through it. It is a goodbye. Goodbyes have a sadness to them, and that's okay. Acknowledge it and let it be a part of the story. And then there is what I am getting just more and more passionate about the more I work with people, the more I'm a mother and see just how little brains process transitions, is this idea of incorporating a ritual. I think it can be very helpful to give yourself a little ritual around saying goodbye to your single life. Again, do not be overwhelmed. I do not believe in making things really complicated or elaborate or intimidating, because then you're not going to do it. And then all of this is a waste. So I want you to think about, and this is the thing about rituals, I think, if you're like me, you think that you've got to like study some long tradition and that you have to be like certified, and no. The tradition that's going to be meaningful to you is the one that you create. I want us to take back the power of creating our own rituals. I think that is one of the biggest things that religion has taken from people, is their authority and power to create their own meaningful rituals, because we think that like that's the job of religion. And I think the more we take back some of that, the better we'll be able to do to mark these occasions in our life that like aren't even rituals specifically for this in our religious institutions. But that doesn't mean that we don't need them. Anyway, I digress. So back to creating a ritual about saying goodbye to your single life. For some people, this is going to be just like decluttering, right? That whole connection between like our external space and our inside mind. So like, do you have like a bunch of love letters? Do you have like a bunch of mementos from like exes that like have always felt relevant because like that was your love life? That was sort of how you commemorated it and saved it and acknowledged it, whatever. Maybe now it's time, because we're marking the end of dating life, right? All of these other relationships, to get rid of all of it. That can be really therapeutic and really cleansing and clearing for some people. Maybe it's digitally, right? Like, you're going to go ahead and like delete numbers and like give yourself that feeling of a fresh start. For some people, that can be a good little ritual. For other people, it's going to be more like, you know what, let's get your single girlfriends together and like go to your favorite hangout spot and like have a really emotional, like gratitude and goodbye drinks, right? Where you really stop and say and acknowledge, hey, thank you, right? Thank you to your girlfriends who like went to those bars with you all those nights and helped you with those dating profiles and listened to all your sad stories and really like there with you, hoping that like this will be the person, and just all of that support. I think gratitude is a great like basis for a goodbye ritual. And so it can be with other friends. And the bachelorette party, I feel like, has potential to be this. So does the bridal shower. But I think culturally, right, layered with all of these other things, it's about gifts. It's about getting really drunk and having cute outfits to put on Instagram. Or so sometimes that real deep seated ritual part can get lost. But of course, you can infuse those events and make them a part of, or let them be, a goodbye ritual for yourself. If that feels good, just make sure you bring that intention to it and you'll be done. You can have just like a special different event. It doesn't have to be an event, but gathering where this happens, right? Let's think of it as a gathering based in gratitude to say goodbye. That is a very elegant, easy way of doing it. And the other anchoring it in gratitude, it can also just be like a really solitary moment. It's really fun to just drive around, walk around your town, your apartment, either looking through old things or just going to places and just like in the total like Marie Kondo way, thank these places, these items, these routines, these routes, these views, these just whatever they were, thank them for being a part of you. Thank them for sustaining you and bringing you to this point and being a part of your life in that way. Saying thank you is a great way to then release. So thank you, goodbye. Gratitude and goodbye. I think bringing those two things together will both honor your past and then let you start to let go of it and turn towards a new chapter. So again, if you are struggling with saying goodbye to your old life and not sure how to honor it, I'm really encouraging you to create for yourself a ritual. And it can be all the things I talked about. It can be lighting a candle and blowing it out and just bringing the thoughts and the intentions and honoring where you've been so that you can then focus on where you're going. Instead of being mired in the grief, we're going to transmute that into some gratitude after we acknowledge and let ourselves be sad, because we do not skip that part. Let the grief come, but then it will start to move into a gratitude that will then let you say goodbye with ease. It can still be with tons of emotion. It can still be a heavy heart, but it's heavy because it's full. And that is a good thing. It's great that you don't want to leave that chapter behind because that shows that you know how to create for yourself a life that you love. And now you're going to do it again in this new iteration and in this new chapter. And I am so excited for you. And we're all cheering for you. And if you need me, come get me. A bridal session with me, one call, can be the difference in your engagement, your wedding planning, and your marriage. And this is something that you deserve, that everybody needs. They just don't even know it. And it's just I think it's just the most profound, special, sacred gift that you can give to yourself. So reach out to me, carolmaureen.com, schedule an appointment, and we can talk through anything like this. We can help you create a ritual and stuff that you don't even know that's on your mind. It's so funny how many people book and they're like, I don't even know what I was going to talk about. And then we're there to meet the moment, whatever's coming up for you. It's going to be so useful, so special. Honor this time emotionally. It's a huge transition, especially for women. So until next time, I am wishing you nothing but bridal bliss.